Ljana U. Golo. Godgirls. Of human and divine love. Godgirls Eve, Odilia, Alea. Eve. None of what had been theirs would be theirs any longer, until they had returned to God. Eve. They had been tempted, he had become weak, had eaten of the fruit of the tree in the midst of the garden, of which God had said, "Eat not of it, neither touch it, lest ye die," but he knew better, being wise, she also must eat of it, so that they might have knowledge of what was good and what was evil, but they had only the sense of what was good and what was evil, for when their eyes were opened, human knowledge was to them, according to their human understanding, what was their concern. It now seemed important to them what had previously seemed unimportant to them, why they wove fig leaves for themselves, what could be considered meaningful only to them, and now feared, since they had broken God's commandment, that God would punish them, which then happened because they wanted to be godlike to Him. They believed in themselves, in their sense of justice, that they could know what was right and what was wrong, and what was worst of all, that they therefore saw it as their responsibility, their obligation, to see to it that it would be so, according to their sense of right and wrong, just as they wanted it, according to their will, that their will be done, not His will, their God's will. Eve. God demanded obedience of them, in return for which they would return to Him, receive eternal life if they kept His commandments, would die to their humanity, be born again to His divine. Eve. She had said it to Him, who would not be told anything by her, who wanted to be her Lord. It was because he did not listen properly, referring all that he wanted to be to himself, and all that he did not want to be to her, why he also claimed that she had desire for him, when it was he who was constantly taking her. Eve. As he determined what should apply to them, he would pass on what had happened, and those after him would tell it to each other so. Odilia. They tied her to the stake of purification. She screamed as they burned out her eyes until they cut out her tongue. They had previously pronounced judgment on her. She was guilty, she was sinful, she had committed fornication with the devil. They drove her to the cave gorge, pushed her down, and there she was with the others who had been purified before her, whose eyes had also been burned out and whose tongues had also been cut out. Odilia. She had often been there, handing down apples and bread. She knew those who wandered around, groping along the rock walls that enclosed the gorge. They were put on display for those standing at the top, who spat on them, threw stones at them, and mocked them. Odilia. She had become one of them. They were her neighbors, those who had judged them, who hated them, who let them die. Odilia. She knelt, prayed, thanked God that He had not led her into temptation, that He had delivered her from the evil that was to love her life in this world, for then they would have lost it. She felt God, her Lord, within her, His touch, His divine love, which became the love of herself, of the Church and God, after her firstborn had died from her love for herself, human love. Odilia. It was quiet, as only the night can be, when she heard noises above her, something being lowered, steps approaching her, her arms being grabbed, her hands bound with a rope, with which they pulled her up, over the edge, to Him. She smelled Him. It was Him, He who had accused her, she who had refused Him because He already had a wife and children. He dragged her behind Him, laughed, shouted, "Now you belong only to me, you're mine." Odilia. It was a stable where He tied her up, took her, assaulted her. He gave her what the pigs got. Since then she lay there. Several years had passed. She had given birth to 3 children, whom He took away from her after they were born. She knelt, prayed, thanked God that she had been allowed to give birth. Soon it would be time again. She smiled. She would remain His eternal bride. Alea. What would they answer if God asked them at His judgment why they helped those who were worthy of them? Because they felt sorry for them, because they were close to them, they loved them, they did it out of love, but they did not help those who were just as much in need of help, who were not worthy of them, who were strangers to them, who were not their equals. It should have been an effort for them. They should have done it out of love for their neighbors, out of love for their enemies. Alea. What would they answer if God asked them in His court why they considered themselves godlike, that some were good, like themselves, and others were evil, and why they were allowed to punish, fight, and judge them? Alea. What would they answer if God asked them before his court where they knew who was guilty, who was innocent, who were the victims, who were the perpetrators, who were unjust, who were just, who spread lies, who spoke the truth, who incited hatred, who hated, who had to endure incitement and hatred? Alea. What would they answer if God asked them before his court in which commandments, laws of their Lord, it was written that they should resist evil, repay injustice, that they were responsible for justice in the world, that they were allowed to cast the first stone? Alea. What would they answer if God asked them before his judgment seat why they believed that their justice was also his, that their peace was also the peace he gave them, that their freedom on earth was his, which truly made them free from everything in this world? Alea. What would they answer if God asked them before his judgment seat why they loved those they loved them as their own lives, loved their lives in this world, wanted to preserve them, wanted to receive the good in their lives, wanted human love, not his divine love, his new commandment? Alea. What would they answer if God asked them in his court why they had wanted what was human, not what was divine, why their will should be done, not his? Published as an ebook and print in the United States. 852 pages, Readerama Publishing.